Now I'm doing a gun giveaway of my own, but for Americans only. I want you to win this .50 caliber rifle that Democrats will ban if they keep the House next year.
Our obsession continues, and it's fueled by our elected officials.
Hey everybody, this is Congressman Ronnie Jackson from the great state of Texas. I have a message for the Biden administration. If you're thinking about taking our ARs, you can start here in Texas. On behalf of all the law-abiding gun owners in the state of Texas, I just want to say, come and get it.
They advertise their obsession to voters that are convinced that blowing shit up with a gun is more qualifying than knowing how government works.
I'm Marjorie Greene, and I approve this ad. America's the greatest country in the world. We need conservatives in Washington that will keep it that way. I'm running to stop gun control. Open borders. The Green New Deal. And socialism. Democrats fight for their socialist agenda every single day. I'll fight even harder to stop them. I'm Marjorie Greene, Republican for Congress. Save America, stop socialism.
They get creative and downright ridiculous with their worship services at the altar of AR-15s.
Democrats like to say that no one needs an AR-15 for self-defense, that no one could possibly need all 30 rounds. But when this rifle is the only thing standing between your family and a dozen angry Democrats in Klan hoods, you just might need that semi-automatic and all 30 rounds.
They don't even focus solely on political enemies in their daydreams of stupid scenarios where they can get away with mass murder. They include children, too.
I'm Brian Kemp. This is Jake, young man interested in one of my daughters.
Yes, sir.
Jake asked why I was running for governor. I said, 1,
cap government spending.
2,
take a chainsaw to regulations.
3,
make Georgia #1 for small business.
And 2 things if you're going to date one of my daughters.
Respect.
And?
A healthy appreciation for the Second Amendment, sir.
We're going to get along just fine.
Brian Kemp for governor.
So now that the country is thinking and praying for the 386th time this year for every one of the mass shootings that we've experienced, it's back to watching legislators not give a damn.
It's a horrible, horrible situation, and we're not going to fix it. Criminals are going to be criminals. I don't see any real role that we could do other than mess things up. If somebody wants to take you out and doesn't mind losing their life, there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do about it. There's really, I don't think you're going to stop the gun violence. I think you've got to change people's hearts.
What should be done to protect people like your little girl from being safe at school?
Well, we homeschool her, but that's our decision.
They tell you right to your face that they're proud of their role in making sure that anyone who has the notion to walk into a school and start shooting anyone from age 5 to 85 can do it as easily as possible.
During my 4 years, nothing happened, and there was great pressure on me having to do with guns. We did nothing. We didn't yield. And once you yield a little bit, that's just the beginning. That's the avalanche begins.
The former president wants every person that's ever been affected by gun violence to know that he courageously stood up for the next shooter to have the right to put another family and another community through the pain that others have already experienced. He surrounds himself with other political candidates and supporters that not only want to help the next shooter, but who mock the deaths of children at the hands of bloodthirsty people.
They're always hiding behind these monikers, but they're always standing for tyranny. The same way they stand up against our Second Amendment. What are the words that we use when we stand up for our Second Amendment? The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I mean, it's simple, it's short. We understand it, and it's in our Constitution, and it's for everybody. And what do? They come up with these convoluted numbers about, well, if you have 15,000 people that have AR-15s, 12 of those people are likely to get killed, and then school shootings happen, and then the children die.
So while Mark Robinson mocks the death of your children, while preaching about the importance of forcing childbirth on as many women as possible, including those that have life-threatening complications, they've been raped, or have been adolescent victims of incest, while he laughs, many Americans' lives are forever scarred.
The Bexar County Sheriff's Office received alerts about reports of an active shooter and radio traffic from school resource officers concerning the same concern, or having the same concern. Within minutes, law enforcement was on scene as well as 2 school resource officers assigned here to the school who immediately encountered the subject within just minutes of this report going out. Once they encountered the subject immediately surrendered to these officers and he was taken into custody. Additionally, what I want you to know as of now, there are 4 individuals who are deceased from this incident, 9 that have been taken to local hospitals with various injuries. Of those that are deceased, 2 are students and 2 are teachers here at the school. As the sheriff mentioned earlier this morning, the shooter is in custody. He is a 14-year-old student here at the high school. Again, he has been taken into custody. He will be charged with murder and he will be tried as an adult.
You know, because trying a 14-year-old as an adult, or trying anyone that commits this kind of violence, has deterred the next shooter from carrying out the same crime. We really sit back and accept that jailing or even killing these shooters that oftentimes kill themselves will make others stop and think twice. When these 4 victims from Appalachia High School were alive and breathing, spending time with their families and friends, Representative Mike Collins, who represents the families that are currently mourning, he wanted them to know that he's on the side of the shooter.
Hey, Mike Collins here, your pro-Trump America First trucker, running for Congress here in Georgia 10. Well, I understand Joe Biden was in town yesterday to talk about our elections. It seems that he and Kamala Harris called anyone who disagreed with the federal hijacking of this election a racist. Well, Joe, I got some news for you. Let me tell you what Georgians really believe. First of all, you count the legal votes that were cast in the state of Georgia, Donald Trump won this state, period. Number 2, get rid of those voting machines. Go back to paper ballots once and for all. Number 3, get rid of those ridiculous drop boxes across this state that the Democrats use to stuff the ballots and steal our elections. You see, Georgians are sick and tired of weak-kneed, spineless politicians who won't fight for Trump, get to the bottom of 2020, and fix our elections. Well, if they won't do it, Mike Collins will.
So what does Representative Collins' gun have to do with his election delusions? Well, everything, actually. He's telling other homicidal maniacs that if they don't get their way, they should grab their guns and kill anyone that they can to satisfy their uncontrollable anger.
But are you open to any compromise gun control legislation that's being discussed in Washington, so-called red flag laws, expanded background checks?
I am absolutely opposed to red flag laws. I am 100% adamant that the Second Amendment is written right. There is no changing it. We do have problems. We don't have a gun control problem in this country. We don't have a gun problem in this problem. What we have is a cultural problem where we have removed God from every facet of our life, be it from the schools, from prayer, even television. That's where we've got to get back to where the sanctity of life means something.
It's telling that there's only one life that's sanctified enough to drive the Republican Party crazy when a gunman opens fire.
You've been a man of faith. You go to church. You believe in God. Has this further your belief, your commitment, and obviously God, in addition to that chart, saved your life. He has a purpose for you.
If you believed in God, you believe in God more. And somebody said, like, why? And I'd like to think that God thinks that I'm going to straighten out our country. Our country is so sick and it's so broken. Our country is just broken. And maybe that was the reason.
So don't forget the message from the Republican Party. We're not going to do anything. We're proud to have never done anything. God saves Trump and doesn't give a damn about your kids. Now, go vote for me.
She was actually in algebra class just this morning, elbow to elbow with that shooter.
I just remember, like, the moment that it happened, he was at the door, and I knew they were looking for him already, but he was at the door, and they almost let him in until they backed up, and then he turned away, and that's when you hear, like, the first rounds of fire.
So he was in class with you, in algebra class. He left. Then he came back, was at the door. and then knocking to be let back in. Why? You told me something about the doors.
Yeah, they lock automatically, so you have to be let in to come back into our classroom. So I think he wanted to come to us first.
Come to you first to shoot?
Yes, to shoot us class.
And then he was at the door, student went to open the door, and then what happened?
She backed away. I think she saw him, or maybe somebody said something, but I'm pretty sure she saw that he had a gun, and so she backed away.
So she was about to let him into the class. You think to shoot the students, saw that he had a gun, did not let him in. What happened next?
He turns to the classroom to what would have been my right, and he just starts to shoot, and you hear like about 10 to 15 rounds back to back.